Welcome everybody, this is Brother Mutant here. Today we're doing another viewer requested build. This is your second build Gaidex. This is a, let's see, how did I go with this one? This was a specialist type of rogue. She is a knife master, so that you can get extra damage with specific categories of weapons. So daggers and other similar light blades, so that includes our sais, which we're going to be. A Sai Saint, Sword Saint, a little pun there for you. Because we're going 9 levels of Sword Saint, 1 level of Knife Master, 10 levels of Arcane Trickster. Now, because of the Knife Master, all your other weapon damage that doesn't fall in those categories. Again, I think that's, well here, let's just look at the actual class itself. It tells you right here. Daggers, kukris, punching dagger, star knife, and sai. Kukris you don't have access to because you don't have training in it. Same with star knife. Sais you do have training in, and it's only because of the Sword Saint tip. We could have just as easily picked star knife or kukri, but then you wouldn't have access to sais. And why is that important? Because there's a sai in the game, very late in the game, granted, but there's a sai in the game that has the ability to do 2 extra combat attacks in a round. So literally, it's not a speed weapon, it's a greater speed weapon, which is amazing. Because you're going to be a Sai Saint, you have to have a sai in your hand at all times to get the bonuses from being a Sword Saint. Well, that doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but if we're 2-weapon fighting, which you're definitely going to do, I'm going to recommend in most cases that you put the sai in your offhand. And that sounds weird, but remember, it still gives you the buff. So that's all that matters, is at least in one of your little fingers you have that sai. Okay, and that's going to be important. Now, this build is pretty tight as far as feats are concerned. So we'll go through them here in a moment, but know that literally there is very little flex room here. Assuming, of course, that you want the things that I'm giving you, like greater 2-weapon fighting by the end of the build. That's literally 3 attacks and 3 attacks in your offhand weapon as well. And again, you get that amazing sai that we're talking about. Then there'll be 5 attacks in the offhand weapon, 3 attacks with the main weapon, which can be any number of things. Now, because we went elf again, you have elven weapon familiarity, another boon for you because you get access to weapons you wouldn't normally have access to, like longswords and rapiers. So again, you can put a longsword in your main hand and have the sai in your offhand. You're still fine. And there's some really good longswords in the game. I'm not going to go over the entire list, but know that there's at least 2 that I think are pretty important. One's called Perfection, that one of your artisans make for you. It is a +2 to your swing, which is for either weapon in your hand, so that's nice. It is a +2 to your armor class, which stacks with all other types of armor class because it's an inherent bonus. +2 to your saving throws, +2 to all your skills. You can see the importance of me wanting this weapon. This is the reason I went Sword Saint with a longsword in my current playthrough, because I knew I was going to get Perfection, hopefully, and as such, that is going to really kind of make that build shine. Now, you don't have to go with that weapon. There's another longsword out there. I can't remember the name of it, but it has a Searing Light at-will component to it, which means that every combat round, if you so choose, you can forego your attack for doing a ray attack called Searing Light. It's a cleric-based spell. It does different damage depending on who you're hitting. If it's undead, it does an amazing amount of damage. If you're attacking constructs, it does less damage, but still a solid hit against a construct, which is always appreciated. And then, of course, for anything else, it does a base normal amount of damage. So again, it's a decent spell. Because it's a ray attack and you have to hit, again, high dex build is what we're going to go for here. And again, you're going to have plenty of dex-based gear to buff you up to make sure that you have a solid dex by the end of the build. So I don't think you're going to miss all that much is the short version there. Know that because we're going Sword Saint, we're going to have access to really cool stuff like Prescient Attack, and I even picked up, well here, I was right there, Arcane Accuracy. So again, viable options, and again, I want to give you different choices is my point. So before we get into the feats, let's actually talk about your traits, because the traits are also important for this build. Of course, we're going with our traditional 6th set of traits. The 2nd set comes very late in the build, but it's not so late that you wouldn't appreciate it, in my opinion. You have emotion drawback is the first one you're going to take for a drawback, because again, that penalty is not that big a deal for you. Concentration checks, sure, they're important, but by and large, in my opinion, you're going to be a buffer. Someone that literally kicks on some spells to protect yourself, increase your attack bonus or whatever, and then you go into battle. So that's basically my go-to for this type of character. It's very tanky, you're going to feel it, it's going to feel great. But Envy, again, unless you have money, you have a penalty to your concentration check, which means if you're trying to cast spells in combat while they're smacking you in the face, again, you may cancel that spell. That could be an issue. So just make sure you keep money on yourself. Of course, we're going Family Heirloom, specifically a sai. Now, we're starting off at level 1 Knife Master. The reason for that is because we get Weapon Finesse for free if I went Sword Saint, you don't have weapon finesse, and your strength was a 12 when we started the build. So it's not amazing. So I'd rather have a +7, or sorry, +4 to your swing, because we had a dex of 19 at the beginning. A +4 to your swing versus a +1 to my swing. So again, I went for the obvious Knife Master. And again, sneak attack damage right off the bat, which is extremely nice. You can use a dagger, you can use other stuff. They will give you, though, a magic sai. You cannot use it until level 2. That's when you get your first level of Sword Saint and you pick the sai as your weapon of choice. And then you're fine. You can equip that thing and you're good to go. Notice that we're getting a combat trait, Blade of the Society again, the extra sneak attack damage, as well as a +1 damage bonus to any sneak attack die you have, which is awesome. So that's going to finish you off at like 8d8 for your side damage, for instance, of sneak attack damage by the end of the build, but it'll be 8d8 +8, which is awesome. And again, Sense Vitals works. You can cast Sense Vitals on yourself, buff yourself that way. You will be fine. And again, you're definitely going to enjoy it. And there's even more sneak attack die waiting. Why? Because of this guy here, Optimistic Gambler. Now, I could have gone Lebeda again for the Noble Family Born thing to get you a bonus. That bonus, for me, as a Magus, would have been more of these Arcane Pool points, the Arcane Weapon bonus, because, again, you can use them for Arcane Accuracy. You can use them to buff your weapon. You can set your weapon on fire. Later on, you'll be able to use it to do prescient attacks. And again, that's 3 extra uses a day. You can see the appeal. If that's your thing, go with this. But I found this cool little trick by going through the laundry list, and literally a retarded number of stuff that's on this list. And the one that we picked was number 22. Let me check my notes on that, make sure I'm giving you the right number. Yeah, number 22. Why? Because number 22 gives you +3 sneak attack die right at level 1. And that literally means at level 1 you're doing 4d8 +4 sneak attack damage, I believe, because of that cool little trait that we got. Now maybe that one won't show up initially, because again, this one doesn't show up until level 3, but that +4 should. Once you get to level 3, you'll be at 5d8. And technically you'll be higher than that because you have to get Accomplished Sneak Attacker, which we grab at, like, I think, at level 1. So technically you'll be at 6d8 damage by like level 3, man. Which is pretty damn cool, I thought. So again, that's a solid choice. Remember, that's the 22nd one on the list. And you'll know it because it really talks about +3 sneak attack. It doesn't say dice, it says sneak attack luck bonus. Which I was like, what the hell does that mean? Do I get like a bonus for my swing if I'm sneak attacking? And I'm like, well, that would be okay. No, it literally is extra die. 3 of them. Which is kind of cool. There's other ones. Let me just read you a laundry list of guys here that you could have picked for those traits, though, under this category of Optimistic Gambler. Number 1, you know, is my personal favorite for Mastery of the Undead. The ability to summon, using Animate Dead, spell-like ability 3 times a day at your character level. That's fun. And again, for flanking, you could set yourself up sneak attack that way. A viable option. If that's not your cup of tea. Number 4 on the list is a +1 damage bonus to all your spells that do damage. Just like if you're like in dragon form, or you have a draconic bloodline, let's say you're Ragon Guard, you do the electric damage attack, because he's an electric damage in dragon bloodline. Any electric attack he does, let's say a lightning bolt that does 10d6 damage, does another point of damage for every die. So 10d6 turns into 10d6 plus 10. This particular trait would give you that same exact thing, but for every damaging spell you have. So if it does 4d6 of damage, it's now 4d6 plus 4. If it's 15d6 of damage, it's 15d6 plus 15. And that's a pretty cool one. And again, that's not OP in my opinion, so I don't mind picking that. Again, that's number 4 on the list. For number 5, or sorry, number 8, I couldn't read my handwriting there. Number 8 is Evasion, literally defeat Evasion. That's the one where you dodge a reflex attack. So if you do a reflex check and you pass it, and normally you would take half damage, with Evasion you take 0. That would be fun for this build. And again, would not be, in my opinion, something that, as like a DM, I would be like, oh, you can't possibly start that at level 1. What the hell's wrong with you? No, bullshit. There's nothing wrong with Evasion. And many classes have it. So the fact that you can get it on a ring means it's not OP. I wouldn't mind giving that to you. Number 9 on the list would have been True Magus, just like it sounds. For any other of the Magi, you literally get True Magus at level 20. True Magus gives you a 3 different toggles. A +2 to your swing, a +2 to your spell's DC check, or +2 to spell pen. Again, not particularly OP. It's flexible, definitely fun, and again, I could see this for this build. But I didn't go that route. I wanted the sneak attack 9. That's again number 9. Number 10 gets really crazy. Now this would be definitely something I'd rule out. Number 10, though, is true mutagen. Literally gives you the ability to chuck a mutagen once a day for like a +8 buff to strength, dex, and con. That's the alchemical buff. That's huge. And to get that at level 1, that seems wrong. But I mentioned it because it was kind of interesting. There's 2 different ones that increase your attack bonus. You want to talk about trippy. Number 17 and number 19. Now, why would it be 2 of them? Number 17 increases your attack bonus. Literally what you're seeing over here. This 18 would become a 21. And again, the other one will do the same thing. It's just how they do it. The +3 from number 17 is just a bonus. The +3 from number 19, on the other hand, is a bonus to your base attack bonus. The +11 you see up there would jump to 14. That's important because at level 1 in this build, you would have a base attack bonus of 0 normally. If you pick number 19 on that list for the optimistic gambler, you could start off with a BAB of +3, which means you're eligible for all kinds of feats like weapon focus right off the bat. And again, that's kind of cool. It will allow you to get a second attack sooner than another build. So again, that one will be kind of OP. I wouldn't mind number 17 because it's just a static +3 buff, period. And again, you do finish with, as you can see, a BAB that's not stellar in this build. So yeah, I wouldn't mind, like I said, 17. 19 would be definitely game breaking, but it'd be fun in a good way. So just saying. From there, 21, weirdly on the list, has a +3 reach luck bonus, and I'm assuming that means that your weapon reaches farther, which again increases your threat range, which is kind of cool, but it's kind of weird. Maybe you got like extra long arms, what do I know. Number 22, though, again, is that one that we're going with a +3 sneak attack dice, so I figured that was kind of interesting. So again, worth mentioning. Now, having said all that, let's go to the other 3. Remember, you start off with a physique drawback, so you can get 3 of them. Hedonistic is the one, so again, as long as you got cash, by the time you get this, it's like level 17 in this build. You're going to have it. And instead of getting the meta magic stuff that I've been doing, you know, for the intensified, so I can make it the same caster level, I was like, you know what, we're not going to cast that many spells really anyway. And I thought, well, since I'm flooring your charisma again, which is a no-no because you really need charisma for intimidation for this build, which you'll see here in a moment, and then you also need it for use magic device for this build. And again, that's a penalty then, right? Well, here's 2 that solve that problem. Regional trait, Bruising Intellect. This one that uses, not only gives you a bonus to the persuasion skill check, it also uses your intelligence modifier instead of your charisma modifier. So now you went from a -2 to a +4, and again, you're going to use intelligence-based gear. So a boon like crazy. And then we do the same exact thing for Pragmatic Activator as a magic trait. Again, replaces your charisma modifier with your intelligence modifier for use magic device checks. So again, a -2 goes up to a +4. So again, you went up 6 points, technically speaking, for your use magic device check. And again, I'm okay with those. Those are solid choices. So again, I wanted to show you something different than the typical magic lineage type stuff where you have a -1 to the any meta magic that you apply to a spell kind of thing. Of course, we still went with Ever Wary, the adopted social trait. Amazing trait for someone that doesn't want to be flat-footed, and you definitely don't. But when you do, because it's going to happen, why not at least have half of your dexterity? I have yet to test this officially. I mean, I know this part works. What I mean is, remember, you get canny defense as well for being Sword Saint. It would be amazing, probably it wouldn't happen, but it'd be amazing if they gave you half of that too. That'd be cool, but I don't think that's going to be a thing. Notice that I have strength gear on right now, so my strength of 12 is literally 20, and that's so I could get power attack, and I got that at like level 3, I believe, right down here. So again, this is going towards your power attack build again, and the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, you know what, Piranha Strike, while it's nice, if you can get that strength-based gear, you're probably going to always keep strength-based gear on your character, especially if you're going solo. You know, 12 strength is nice, but it's nowhere near like 14, 16, 20, so it's really nice to have that little strength boost, and if you're going to get that, you might as well grab the best version of this. Just make sure you always have it, otherwise it literally takes it out of your tray. That's kind of annoying, but it's what it is. But this allows us, because of power attack, to do things like Cornigan Smash. Then, of course, Dazzling Display and Shattered Defenses is going to be part of the build. Now, on that, let's actually look at how we leveled you up. At level 1, of course, we went Spell Vulnerability, because, again, you're an elf, and you needed to get 2 feats, in my opinion. So we went with Accomplished Sneak Attacker, thanks to that Spell Vulnerability, of course, to Abjuration spells, and Cold-based effects. And then we grabbed 2 Weapon Fighting right off the bat as well. Now, you would not necessarily wield 2 weapons right off the bat, because, again, you have a penalty. Why would you want a -2 and a -2? I mean, yeah, you can kind of counter it with the fact that you had a dexterity of 19 at the beginning because you had a +4. So that's a thing. But you don't have any bonus to the swing yet because you're not using a Sai. At level 2, on the other hand, when you finally get Weapon Focus Sai for free, for being a Sword Saint and picking Sai as your weapon of choice, they give you this for free. So now you have a bonus to your Sai swing right there, that +1. And of course, because they have the Family Heirloom trait, you have another +1. So again, that would counter, in my opinion, 2-weapon fighting. So have a Sai and another weapon in your other hand. Make sure it's a light weapon in the offhand, which is why, again, another reason I put the Sai in the offhand, because I know it's a light weapon and I have that taken care of. And of course, they give you a magic Sai right off the bat. So again, now you have that ability to equip it at level 2. That's another +1. So again, you're doing fine for sneak attacks and for 2-weapon fighting by like level 2. Just saying, pretty cool. Then from there, we get into like the trippy stuff of power attack. Again, make sure you get yourself a strength-based belt. I'm fairly certain you can buy one at Oleg's, like a +2 is all you need, or find one in the wild. But if you can't find that, you cannot pick this trait or this feat. So grab Dazzling Display first, and then by level 5 you better have that strength belt so you can get yourself that power attack. Okay, otherwise you're pushing it back farther and further. Yes, you can grab like Meta Magic Intensified and still slide it back some more, but then you're really missing out on what you needed that for. So again, power attack as soon as you can get that belt. Dazzling Display after that. Double Slice, figured why the hell not? You're already 2-weapon wielding, why not get that strength bonus, or in your case, if you have agile weapons, the dex bonus back. That's awesome. We have Meta Magic Intensified here. This is spell blending at level 11. This allows you to pick 2 spells, if you choose that choice, which I did, from the wizard spell list. What 2 spells did I pick? Sense Vitals and Heroism. This is the soonest you can pick that up because this is the soonest you have access to level 4 spells. Both of those are under level 4. To get spell blending 2 spells, you pick this choice, and it allows you to pick 2 spells that are 1 level lower than your highest level of casting. So if it's level 4, you have access to level 3 or lower spells. Heroism's level 3, Sense Vitals is level 2. That's why it had to be here, or later, obviously. I figured sooner than later would be beneficial to you. +2 to your swing, +2 to your skill checks. You get something else in there, like, or a bonus to like your resistance against fear or some shit. So again, Heroism is an amazing spell, lasts a long time. Then you have the Sense Vitals, which again, you're already doing sneak attack damage. Why wouldn't you want to do more? I figured. So again, as soon as possible to me. Level 13, this pushback, by the way, Shatter Defenses pick. That's okay. This is the one that if you have a frightened or shaken to target someone that's panicked from you, or someone else for that matter, then you catch them flat-footed by default, which again sets up your sneak attack beautifully. And then since you have Cornigan Smash, where'd that pick you up? Here's Cornigan Smash, and again that would have been picked up. It says at level 5, but remember you're always delayed a level thanks to this Rogue Dip. So this won't show up for you until level actually, I think that was a mistake. That would have been way late in the build. Let me think about this guy. You have, if you pick this up at level 5, Magus, right, which I'm seeing right here, you can totally do that. But we don't go 5 levels of Magus before you start Arcane Trickster. You go 4, because that's the soonest that you can start Arcane Trickster. So I guess you'd have to go 5 to get that ASAP, which is not bad. I mean, delays your Arcane Trickster by a level. So you do 1 level of Rogue, 5 levels of Sword Saint, and then 10 levels of Arcane Trickster, finish the last 4 levels of Sword Saint. That'd be the best way to do it. So that would allow you to get that Cornigan Smash sooner than later. That's probably a borked up idea, but it shouldn't be horrible. Otherwise, we're pushing it back to like, let's see, this would be, what, 10? It'd be like way the hell down here, and that's just a no bueno. So again, you can, and again, these are flexible, so you can shift these around. So again, Cornigan Smash can be up here, for instance, and Double Slice can be down there. So whatever makes sense to you is my point. But make sure to pick up that Cornigan Smash, because once you can intimidate guys and you start hitting them consecutively, thanks to Shatter Defenses, it's sneak attack, sneak attack, sneak attack, sneak attack, as you'll see here in a moment. That's amazing. Then we have improved 2-weapon fighting. Additional traits at the very end here at 17, and that 19, of course, is the earliest you can get greater 2-weapon fighting. I figured, why wouldn't you want to have it a 3rd attack? So that's 3 attacks and 3 attacks, not at the best swing. I mean, remember, it's a +11 BAB, but Again, with your spells and everything else you have going for you, the ability to be invisible, catching guys flat-footed is going to be soups easy in my opinion. Now, remember, we picked for our upgrades as a Magus. You have these Magus Arcana that you get to choose from. We picked Arcane Accuracy instead of the Pet Familiar this time. Why? Because my Wisdom was not floored in the toilet. So I was happy to pick this. And again, this gives me some leeway for doing some things. A better chance to swing based on my Intelligence modifier, which of course you're going to drive up through the roof. Prescient attack as soon as possible. Why this one? Because again, that's just like your impromptu sneak attack, except this is a toggle, this is a clickable. And this is based on how many uses of this you have in a day, which I think my best case scenario was like 13 uses. So buff your weapon this way with yourself, this way with prescient attack, or buff yourself with arcane accuracy. And again, why might you do this? Because if I can make them flat-footed, say like this, but they still have armor, if they still have armor, because flat-footed means they have no dex modifier, no dodge, but they still like are in full plate mail, and it's really hard to hit the son of a bitch. Just because they're flat-footed doesn't make it that much easier to hit them sometimes. So what do? You leave this toggle running, you activate this one now, because this is just a static bonus to you, not a penalty to them, a bonus to your swing, based on your intelligence modifier, so in this case +4. That ignores a lot of armor. And the fact that this toggle's running means they're flat-footed, so you just buffed yourself, your swing, technically speaking, 2 different ways here. And I figured that was definitely worth it. Notice, of course, you get all kinds of other stuff for being a Sword Saint, so of course your candy defense, based on your intelligence and your Sword Saint levels. The lowest number is the one that wins out for how much dodge you get, so we're only getting +4 right now. Obviously, you're going to get it to at least a +9. Actually, I think I can get you to like a +10. But again, 9 is the highest bonus you'll receive because of your limitations on Sword Saint levels. That's going to be really, really tanky build. And again, you get Lightning Draw. Your initiative is based off your dex and your intelligence. And I did toy around with the idea of, instead of grabbing Arcane Accuracy, getting the Familiar, but getting the Hair Familiar. The Hair Familiar gives you a +4 to initiative. Early on, that comes in handy, extremely handy when it stacks with all this. You really get to the point where your initiative is so high that the chances that they catch you off guard is extremely slim. And I thought that was worth it. But again, I did like the idea of using this while this toggle's running, so I have a really, really good chance of making sure that impromptu sneak attack works. Just saying, on you. It was definitely fun to toy around with. I appreciated the build. Let's actually show you how we kit your guy out. Okay, now again, I do have the strength gauntlets on already. Remember, these are the Star Soldier gauntlets. Obviously, these are pie in the sky dream. It's like the end of the build when you're starting to get all the pieces together to have this crafted for you. Until that time, just get yourself, like I said, a strength belt, a strength dex belt, a strength dex con belt. And again, I could have gone the 888 belt, because why not? But I thought, you know what, let's just try something different. Again, show you that there's different options. So of course we have a Ring of Circumstances. I haven't activated it yet, but of course you should. So I have rested so that it's ready. Obviously you're going for armor class. Obviously you're going for dexterity for extra armor class, better swing, better damage if it's an agile weapon, better reflexes. You're also going for intelligence, more spells a day, higher DC checks. Who wouldn't want that? Now, I could go spell DC, another bonus to your spell DC check, but I'm not going to. Why? There's nothing else here that really sticks out as interesting except for possibly a bonus to your saving throws. And I'm going to take that because our saving throws are kind of not great. Let's just put it that way. Your character is doing okay once we get gear on you, no less, but you're really still a little subpar. So I figured a little juice, even if it's only a +1, a little juice that stacks with everything else is a solid buff. So let's do that. And then from there you can see we've buffed, like I said, 2 of your core stats, the 2 main ones, which is why you went Elf, Dex, and Intelligence, of course. And then now our spells per day and uses will change. Before we do that though, let's actually equip yourself out with other gear. So I am going to give you the kick-ass hat, the +888 on this build. Why? Because A, you need it. It helps you out for your will saves, or for one thing, because of the high wisdom. The charisma, again, not as important now, thanks to our persuasion and use magic device skills keying off of our intelligence. But a wisdom of 8 and an intelligence of 8 is rare to find in this game, all coming from one item. And again, I know you're going to get this ASAP, so I figured, you know what, why hem and haw over, well, you don't have to get the best gear. No, you can get this shit in Chapter 3 if you cheese it a little bit. So I figured, screw it. You've earned it. You know, strip that shit. So there's a solid buff for your character right off the bat. Then, of course, we're going to grab ourselves a ring. of dexterity. It is called a dragonfly ring, plus 8. Okay, and that's going to cover your dex. So again, 8 for strength from the Star Soldier's Gauntlet, plus the at-will use of a laser beam spell, which is basically Scorching Ray, literally 4d6 of damage, 3 beams in 1 combat round, and it does take your sneak attack damage, which is sweet. Now remember, your sneak attack damage for these types of things are not d6 dice, they're not d8 dice like your cool ass little size. It's going to be d4. That's the penalty you take for getting extra d8 die for the size, the daggers, the punching daggers and shit like that. Still okay, and I'm alright with that. It's just extra damage, and again, if you see that it's not hitting quite as hard as you thought it was, that's probably why. Notice though that this not only gives you a plus 8 to dex, enhancement to dexterity, but it also gives you the ability to cast cleanse 3 times a day as a cleric on yourself, presumably, since you're going to be going solo. So the ability to just spontaneously heal yourself 3 times is extremely useful, and cleanse does more than that, so there's some utility there for a soloist character, in my opinion. Then for your constitution, I have you a cloak. It's the hideous looking one here. It's only a plus 4. Now I keep forgetting that it's a plus 4 versus a plus 8. It's because there's a plus 8 con belt that I keep confusing it with. It's a solid belt choice, but we have a better choice, in my opinion, for you coming here in a moment. But go with this one. It'll be okay. You're a little squishy, but you have vampiric touch, and there's a trick I want to show you with that later. Notice you also get a summons for free. It's a specific type of summons. Summon monster 5, but you have to pick the red cap, I believe. So it goes off to the fact that you're evil, I think, and as such, because I went chaotic evil, and again, I did that for a reason. To A, do something different. B, I wanted a piece of gear that you'd almost have to do an evil playthrough to get the gear. So, and I'll show you that in a mo. But this is a solid upgrade, I think. And again, the extra spell a day, especially when it's something that can help you flank. So getting sneak attack damage a different way, right? Then our necklace, let's see, it's the cool ass one, Gyrona's Amulet. This is the one that's a massive bonus to your armor class at each category. It's there, plus 5, plus 5, plus 5. So even if you're flat-footed, it's giving you that bonus. And at the start of every combat, mirror images immediately cast on you, which is just free. Poof, you don't have to slot mirror image. Well, I mean, you can, but you don't have to, because this is always getting kicked off. Now, yes, they could penetrate it with like 9 arrows to the chest, and of course, everyone hits the mirror images. 8 of them drop dead, disappear, and then you get hit with that 9th arrow. So yeah, in the first combat round, you could have shit go south real fast. That's why I would still keep a mirror image maybe in my back pocket, but you don't have to, is my point. This is really, really helpful. And again, the extra armor is amazing for you because it works toward your touch armor class. As you can see, getting better every minute. Now, as far as armor is concerned, I have robes for you. Now, we're not going to use the intelligence, wisdom robes that are 6 and 4, respectively. We're not going to use the intelligence of 8, the charisma 8 robes either. They're there, and when you get them, you will use them until you get the hat, for instance. But again, you can probably get that hat probably before some of these robes. But the Dark Master's robes are the one I'm talking about. There's another one. The Envy of the Master was the other one. And it gives you some armor as well as a free spell a day, which again, is a good robe. But we're about to get you bracers of armor class plus 8 once you get that hat. So again, screw that shit. Go with the best gear. And I figured since that's going to be your thing, let's get the really good robes. So the robe of the True Master. Is that my guy? That's my guy. Armor bonus because of deflection bonus, which is normally got from a ring or a cloak even for that matter, but we're not getting deflection from any of these 3 things. So here's your deflection bonus back. Bonus to all your resistances, which is normally coming from a cloak. We didn't get that. So again, here's your resistances. It's only plus 4, but it's a solid increase. And you get yourself spell resistance 18, which is just innate. And then you get a plus 2 bonus to your spell pen, which stacks with the plus 2 spell pen bonus you get for being an elf. And I figured, fuck yeah. So that sounds awesome. So that covers that part. Now, we have a belt to worry about. And this is the belt I'm going to recommend for you. You don't have many spells, and the spells you do have are kind of suck. But getting the greater belt of perfect components, which yes, I know is going to be later in the games, like Pitax area territory type stuff, but that's still not that late in the game. And there's the belt of perfect components, which does it the same thing, but only for level 1 and 2 spells. And then there's the lesser belt of perfect components, which only works for level 1 spells. So again, every time you get that new belt upgrade, until that time again, though, I still maintain that you're not going to have this and you're not going to have these. So you're probably going to be rocking that, like I said, a belt of strength dex minimum. Strength dex con if you can afford it or find it. But by and large, until you start getting this dex and strength and con base gear, that's going to be your go-to. But when you do, have this waiting for you in your pack. Why? Because why not have all your first, second, and third level spells be extended? That's all your buffs damn near, with the exception of like Greater and Viz. And see, Heroism is level 3, so you could extend that by default. You could extend your blur spells, your mirror image spells. Invisibility, Vanish could be extended. You could extend, of course, your shield spell, Reduce Person you're going to use on yourself. So again, you get a lot of utility just for that. And there are some of your attack spells, level 1, 2, and 3, that have a duration to them. So why not have those be extended? So think of like your Snowball spell. Remember, if they hit them with that, not only does it do full damage, but if they make their save, they don't get staggered. But if they fail their save, they do get staggered, and only for 1 round. Why not make it 2? Just because screw you, I hate you, you bastard. Here's a snowball to the face. So again, I kind of dig this, and again, it goes towards doing something different. Then we've got bracers. Where are you at, you little bastards? No, is it this one? There it is. Bracers of armor class +8, because of course. And again, this one is available at that same boss fight that you get, I believe, where you kill him and get his hat from. I think it is like a tool chest or something in the room where you can steal his shit. This is part of this stuff, is the hat and the bracers, I believe. It could be that it's on his body, but either way, it's in that room. So make sure you get all the gear there. You will definitely appreciate those 2 items alone. Then for boots, of course, we're still going with the Manticore boots. Manticore skin boots for the +4 natural armor enhancement, as well as a speed bump. So you can zip around a little faster without having to worry about being Mr. Slowpoke. Notice that plus armor does not work here, because it's not a touch armor, but it does work for your flat-footed, and it does work for your armor class. So again, you're doing okay for yourself, and again, we have yet to cast a spell on you. So again, you're doing real well here. Of course, Metamagic Rods, you know my favorite ones for those. We want to have all our Fearless. We want to have our Undeath one. We want Power Source, and of course our Flaming one that turns all our spells into fire damage. Only if you know that fire damage is not a problem. Otherwise, take that shit off, and you can do that in combat. But this is a nice evocation bump. All your spells, and I mean all your spells, are now 1 caster level higher, while this is just sitting in your person, which is freaking sweet, right? And you're only caster level 19. So again, this basically brings you back up to 20, which is still freaking cool. And then you have a bonus to your DC checks for Necromancy. You have a bonus to your Conjuration spells DC checks. You have a bonus to your saves against fear, which I don't know that stacks with, because they're always will saves. I don't know if that stacks with circumstance or resistance bonus. Let's hope it does. I haven't officially tested that yet. And then there's this, where is it? There's a freaky deaky item I have for you. No. Are we going by name? Let's go by name. I can find it that way. I believe it starts with an E. There's the elixir. That's one of the things I'm looking for. So this is the potion that Bakken gives you as his mastercraft. I remember you give that to your main character, presumably, because when you do so, permanent +2 buff to all your stats. And again, that does not work for power attack. Remember, so if I have a strength of 12, which you did, and this potion, that now I have a strength of 14, I should be able to have power attack on. It does not. For whatever reason, it just counts. It says, nope, sorry, you don't have the right strength, and it doesn't count it. So make sure you still have a strength belt of +2 at least, or something that's giving your strength a +2 bump, and you can use power attack like normal. Now I'm going to have to go find the item, because I guess I didn't gift it to myself. I thought I did. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. But if you go down here, and you say reset the filters, because I don't know which category it falls under, and do ABAD, it is the Oculus. Oh, that's why. I probably was looking in the wrong area. I thought it was the Eye of Abaddon. It's the Oculus of Abaddon. So, where are you, little bastard? Based on name. I got too many things. It's probably what it is I have it sitting somewhere where it's not supposed to be. Maybe in this category, is it? Oculus, oh. Range, Mystic, it's not in there, okay, so then it has to be in here. Where are you? primal gem of elemental fire. Oh, there it is. So the Oculus of Abaddon. Now this is why I said that you need to go evil playthrough, if this is your thing. And I'm not telling you what to do. But I always wanted to get this item. I found it the other day, and I'm like, well, this is actually kind of a cool little item. To do this properly, though, you either have to kill Tristan, spoilers, or you have to at least piss him off enough that he's never coming back. And that's going to be a thing, which is why I say you probably want an evil playthrough. So this is the thing that he smashes, which burns his eyes out, right? You can actually say, fuck you, give me that shit, you bastard. How dare you? And then, quite frankly, he deserves it because he's been lying to you this whole time. This is all his fault, and I deserve that cool little gem. And the gem itself doubles the duration of all your spells just by having it in your kitty. There's not a charge to it as far as that is concerned. There is a charge to it. The charge is like 2 or 3 charges a day, and that charge allows you to cast True Seeing as a 20th level wizard up to 3 times a day, which is awesome. There is a wisdom check. I have no idea what this does when you fail it. I can't imagine good things. So be warned. That's probably a curse is what I'm guessing. But I don't know that. So again, it's a low enough DC check that, I mean, our will's going to be good enough to pass it all the time. But again, on a nat 1, I think you automatically fail those DC checks. So 5% of the time, this could go south real fast. So scum save that shit before you buff up with it. But that's still a solid upgrade. And again, another spell you don't have to slot 3 times a day, which is freaking sweet for someone who doesn't have a lot of castings, I thought. Now, before we finish all that, now let's actually talk about some weapons, okay? I've given you a bunch, but then these aren't all the ones that I want you to pay attention to. So this is the steel one. This is the one I was telling you about that's in game. That's pretty awesome. That's the +2 attack. So again, you see, well, it's not showing to you, just not in your main hand. This is 5 attacks in a combat round. And you may say, why wouldn't you put that in your main hand? Well, here's why. 5 attacks in a round is decent. And again, if I put another Sai or another light weapon over here, I get 3 attacks in the other, because again, you have greater 2-weapon fighting, right? So why wouldn't you want to have 5 in the main hand? Because they're exactly the same, thanks to your double slice, thanks to the fact that you have power attack on, especially if they're both agile weapons, you're fine. So that doesn't matter one way or the other if it's in the main hand or the offhand. But there's a spell that you use called Transformation when the poop hits the fan and you want to fight like a fighter, and that gives you a +20, or sorry, a total of +20 for your base attack bonus, okay? Because whatever caster level you are, or sorry, character level you are, you get the same BAB score. So at level 20, you'd be a BAB of 20 now. That's an extra attack around for you. And you'd be like, so what? Why not go from 5 to 6? Well, here's the thing. If it was just these 2 weapons, I'd say sure. But what if it's not these 2 weapons? What if it's the steel wing, which you put in your offhand? You still get your 5 attacks like normal. And let's say you put something really good in this one that has something that it keys off of. Like, let's find you one. The Sovereign Mace. A heavy mace, which again, it's heavy, but this is light. So you still only have a -2 penalty to the swing. Now you cannot weapon finesse this. However, for every time you hit with it, you get a stacking armor class bonus, attack roll bonus, and saving throw bonus. And that's for every new target you hit. So again, if you're fighting in this room, we're going to go to 5 different trolls. If I manage to smack them in the face with this once each of them, I'll have a +5 bonus to my armor, +5 bonus to my swing for all my weapons, and a +5 bonus to all my saving throws. That's freaking huge until the end of that combat. Now again, the bigger the room, the more guys there are to smack. Again, continue to smack them in the face with this. Just work your way around the room. I hit you. You don't have to kill him. Hit this guy, then move to the next dude. Hit that dude. Go to the next dude, the next combat run. Just keep cycling through the guys and just stack massive buffs of protection on you, and then just start whittling them down at that point. That's amazing, right? Now again, why does it matter that it's in your main hand versus your off? Well, A, this one's heavy, so discount that point. It's definitely a good point, but the real reason is, remember that spell we talked about, Transformation? Wouldn't you rather have 4 attacks with this one than just 3? Look what happens when I switch it. 5 would go to 6, and it's just normal attacks. Again, sneak attack is still applicable all the time, though, for everybody. And then 3. You're still getting 6 and 3, so you're getting 9 attacks. But if I go this way, I'm getting 4 and 5. I still get 9 attacks, but I have 4 times now that I have a chance to hit them with this thing that has a weird effect associated with it. Now, whether that's just it does fire damage, it gives us a buff of some kind. Maybe it's the dagger that gives them the penalty. Not that one. Yeah, Chaos Shard. The one that, like, literally every time the dagger hits them in the face, there's a chance to turn them confused. So again, 3 swings versus 4 swings. I know which one I'd rather go with. That's why I say keep the Sai in the offhand weapon. Again, just get used to that fact. You don't have to early on. It's not as important early on when it's just a Sai +1. But again, when you have that really good one, you probably want it in the offhand. Now there's Sais, of course, that are like amazing. Right? We have the, where's the Heart Piercer? There's Steel Wind. Probably do this by type, it'd be easier. The Steel Wind, I gave you like 3 of them. Just so you could, I know there's not 3 in the game, just so you could do like this and say, oh, what happens if I have this weapon? What happens when I have this? So it's easier just to switch between them and see which is a good combo for you. But, Sai +1, Sai +1. I know I gave them to you. Where are they at? Here's Heart Piercer. Okay, here's the one. Oops. Come here. Here's Heart Piercer. Agile, Bleeding, +3 weapon. Bonus to initiative rolls. So we got a lot of plus here for just having that one Sai in your hand. And then here's another one, Frost Sai. That can be okay. Again, you're still doing 6 attacks around, one that has some cold damage thrown on it. There's better than that, though. There's 3 named Sais in the game. I'm fairly certain I gave them all to you. That's a dagger. And these ones again are Sai 1, Sai 2, Steel Wind again. Oh, is it this one? Yeah, Tears of Blood. There we go. So these are the 3 named daggers in the game, okay? Heart Piercer, Tears of Blood, Steel Wind. And at least one of these, if not both of these, come from an artisan. That they specifically make these for you, which is freaking sweet. So find that artisan online. Make sure you kiss their ass enough that they start making you. And find out, because you can find out online specifically what you have to say to them to have them make you this weapon. Because you have to ask for, oh, I want a Kellid weapon. And they'll make you something blah. And again, it may not give you the thing you want because there's usually multiple choices. So, like for example, the same one I just mentioned, a Kellid weapon could have 2 different weapons that they would bring you, and it's random. And they may bring you the same weapon twice or 3 times. So you have to rank them up. You know, do whatever it is. Again, online is a valuable resource. Highly recommend you figure that out so that you can say, oh, I just need to make sure that my arcane in my kingdom is up to this, and he or she will craft me the better weapons. And that way you'll know that you're getting the gear that you want. But these are nice because they're both agile. No, they're not. Yeah, it is. Agile, keen. There it is. Both agile. One's keen, so it has the higher crit range, which is, again, for size is garbage still anyway. It's only a 10% chance that you'll crit. That just sucks. But again, has the ability to cast Soroka once a day, free of charge. That's nice. Then you have bonus to initiative, and they will bleed every time you stab them. I don't think that stacks, but basically it sets up a constant tick, tick, tick of damage. Every combat round they take a point of damage until they're healed. And most guys don't heal in combat. Not all, but most. So as such, you can literally stab a dude, run around in a circle, stabbing everybody to start bleeding everyone, and just tank it like no one's business because you will have that ability to do so. So this is a solid combo. I could just as easily, though, go, since you're an elf, you have the ability to wield weapons that you normally wouldn't have access to. Like the Perfection Longsword. This is my favorite. This is the one that's a +2 to the swing. See the inherent +2? But that's also over here for your other weapon. See that? So you just made your size hit more often. That's awesome. Or whatever Sai you have in this hand. But remember, you have to have at least 1 Sai in one of your hands. So again, this is a solid combo. This also gives me a bonus to armor class. Static inherent +2 bonus. As you can see, they can't take that shit away. It's an inherent bonus. And then you have bonus to your attacks, bonus to your armor, bonus to your attacks, armor, saving throws. There we go. Bonus to your saving throws. And again, those stack with everything else because, again, it's an inherent bonus. It stacks with your skills. So when we go back to our skills now, you literally have a bonus to your skills. Now, on your skills, we did the same type of deal where we had low athletics, a point invested. We have maxed out persuasion. We have maxed out knowledge arcana, because why the hell not? We've maxed out, or put a decent amount in knowledge world, excuse me, and a decent amount in use magic device, 12 and 13. You could have 13 and 13 if you want. I actually put 1 more in trickery than I normally would. I would actually take trickery probably to 10. Stealth only got a point. Perception maxed, of course. Mobility got 4 because you needed 4 to unlock Arcane Trickster. Nothing in the lore nature, so these are basically nothing. So don't even look at the +8. They don't exist. But again, we have plenty of gear that will buff your stats for those other ones anyway, so you're solid upgrade in my opinion. As far as other choices for weapons that you could have used, remember we had that mace. Name, Sovereign. There you are. Again, tested that one out and it does work as intended. It is beautiful. You will enjoy it. It's very late game. Perfection is an artisan gift. It's their mastercraft item, no less. And again, I love her for that reason alone. That's why I'm using this in my current playthrough. But again, there's other options. Another choice for options, by the way, is using light weapons. Like Greater Shock, Destructive, Agile, Punching Dagger here of awesomeness. It casts Harm Spell once a day. And it's Greater Shock, which means it does 2d6 of electric damage per hit. It's Agile, so of course it's getting your Dexterity bonus to your damage, because your damage bonus is kind of lackluster. Remember, we did not get anything other than Power Attack. You didn't get Arcane Strike, so you don't have that, and your Strength is still kind of meh. So if it's not an Agile weapon, you're really not, and again, not applying Sneak Attack, and you're really not doing a lot of damage with your weapons, which is kind of a drag. But that's why I look towards the other weapon to be something of interest, something that does damage of some type, something that is like there's a Brilliant Energy weapon out there. We have, you could turtle up with a nice Arcane Protector Dagger, something you get in Chapter 2, no less. So when you need a little bit of extra armor, here you go, buddy, plus 3 more to your dodge. Immunity to nausea conditions. Cast Stinking Cloud at your feet and just stab the shit out of the bastards that are puking their guts out. Decent combos. And again, as long as you can equip it, and it's one-handed. It's always a key. As long as it's one-handed, you can put it in your main hand and keep the Sai in your offhand. That's the goal. All right. Now that's enough talking. Let's actually do some stuff here. We have Spell Book, of course. We have spells. You have Intensified Meta Magic, so of course you can buff stuff up. Again, we didn't do anything fancy, so a Snowball is still going to be level 2 when it's intensified. Same with Shocking Grasp, which would be probably the two that I would probably focus mostly on. You will do this to all of them, but again, just as a quick warning, not a warning so much as I would never do this. Color Spray doesn't have anything that you can scale it on. It says that you can intensify it, and yes, you can do it, and it will be a level 2 casting. But that seems cheap to me, because it shouldn't take it. Burning Hands would. Magic Missile doesn't. So I would not make it a level 2 intensified spell, but you can. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not coming to your house to kick the door down. But the ones that I keep it to are the ones that I know it does the effect that it's supposed to do. So that would be Burning Hands, Shocking Grasp, Snowball, Raven Enfeeblement, you can do it. Corrosive Touch, you can do it. So again, that's still a decent list. Frigid Touch, it says you can do it. There's nothing there that you can buff. Scorching Ray says you can. There's nothing there you can buff. You don't get an extra beam. Nothing changes. So yeah, you can have a level 3 casting of it, but again, it feels cheesy. Acid Arrow, it says you can do it, and it should be able to because there's a duration to it. And again, it stops after a certain amount, right, at 18. But if you had a high enough caster level, which there's ways to do that, where you're beyond 20, you should be able to get another round at least of acid ticking. It does not work. I've tested it myself, but I still don't mind slotting it. That's the only exception to the rule on this one, is because again, it should work. Just because they never actually implemented it in the game to work, I'll happily take it as a possibility. So again, I'll happily make an intensified acid arrow, and that's just on me. Again, the restrictions that I put on myself. Stone Call, it says it does it, and it should. So you can do this one. It doesn't do anything to the damage, but it does, or should, change the number of rounds or the duration of that lasts. Remember, based on caster level, which should be limited to 20. Again, if you have a way to take it beyond 20, if you intensified it, it could be beyond 20, which we can do, which I wouldn't, but I'll still slot it. Good news is, I tested Stone Call, by the way. Stone Call, you can sneak attack with that as an impromptu sneak attack, not surprising. But better than that, where are you at, you little bastard? Ice Storm, and of course, I assume it's twin, which is Volcanic Storm, which you do not have access to. But you could cast it from, say, a scroll or a wand. Point is, you could do sneak attack damage with this one twice, because it does sneak attack damage for the cold hit and sneak attack damage for the bludgeoning hit. That's cool, and it's a huge AoE. So if you ever want to start off a fight where you just say F you to the bad guys, Ice Storm, baby, and that shit's funny, and I'll show that to you here in a mo. So again, solid upgrade. Vampiric Touch, I said I'd mention this one again. Now, this one, if you channel, remember, you're a Sword Saint, so you're a Magus, which means you channel touch attack through your weapon. You leave those 2 toggles on all the time. It's not really your cup of tea, though, right? So I would leave the Spell Strike one, where you channel it through your weapon, off. Because you're not going to crit very well with a Sai in your hand. Remember, it crits on a nat 20, so yeah, who gives a shit? I would just do another touch attack. So I would literally shut off, let me show it to you in the actual game. I'm referring to these two toggles here. Spell combat, spell strike. Shut off spell strike. Never use it, in my opinion. Why? Because you'll still be able to cast a spell thanks to spell combat being on. So if I do a melee touch attack, it will literally be now a melee touch attack. I'll walk over, boop, touch him on the shoulder, and then continue to attack like normal. It'll be easier for me to hit you because it's a touch attack versus me stabbing you with my sai or whatever other weapon I have in my hand. And again, it proceeds just like normal. And here's the beautiful part. If it's a touch attack, you can get sneak attack damage for that spell. So Shocking Grasp could sneak attack. So could Corrosive Touch. So could Frigid Touch. And of course, so could Vampiric Touch. And that's to your benefit. Because if it sneak attacks, then you get that extra health. Whatever damage you do to them, the damage of the spell plus the sneak attack is added to your temp hit pool points for 1 hour. So if you hit high on that shit, you could have a really nice health buff. It does not work if you channel it through your weapon. Yes, you get your health from the Vampiric Touch that goes through the weapon, but it does not get sneak attack damage. Your weapon attack gets the sneak attack damage. So again, if you wanted to oomph your damage a little bit, that's how I would do that shit, okay? Fly spell, of course, is a staple until, of course, you get Overland Flight, which, in my opinion, is better. But Fly is still good in a moment's pinch. You know, you just need to buff up for this one fight kind of thing. Use Fly, don't waste it. The one that lasts hours long. Use the one that's a minute per caster level. Heroism, of course, we picked, like I said, free. So what did we do for Sense Vitals? I've given you every spell that you have access to. Note a couple things on that. For a Magus, there's spells that are limited to scrolls that picking as you level up that don't have scrolls in the game. Summon 6 Goblins is one of them. So make sure if you're leveling up, if you ever want this spell, don't wait for a scroll because it doesn't exist. Just make this damn spell as one of your picks. And again, it's the only summonings that you get access to. Technically, you shouldn't have access to it probably, but I'll use it because screw you, I want it. And it allows you to sneak attack because you set up flanking, right? This is one of the only times you have a summoning spell you can do that. Sword Saint, so that's kind of nice. Other than that, no, I think that was all. Maybe Greater Magic Weapon doesn't have a scroll. I can't remember off the top of my brain. But again, if you want it, pick it, is my point. So when you're picking spells, know that almost all of these are available in-game in scroll form, some way, shape, or form. Just pick the ones that you know you need. When you get to Dimension Door, as soon as possible, that's the one you're going to get to kick that one dude's ass. A few potions of invisibility. Not Greater Invis, the one that lasts for minutes per caster level, which is this spell here, right? Minute per caster level. The potions are just like this, and it would last you probably for 3 to 5 minutes. 3 or 4 of these in your back pocket, and the ability to teleport in and out of an area, which means you have to have 2 castings of this a day to be able to do this trick. You teleport into the bad guy after you drink the invisibility potion. You activate that one necklace, Heart of Ira, does AoE damage. It makes the son of a bitch die from that. After he talks and chats you up a little bit, there's some knowledge checks and shit in there. So again, scum save that shit because there's some decent XP if you can pass those checks. Probably not, but give it a go. But teleport in. Do not attack him. Do not do a spell that would attack him. Invisibility doesn't count. That's a self buff. Same with the potion. Chuck a potion, you're fine. Never let your invisibility fall off, because if you do, he will attack your ass and you will die horribly at level 9, 10, or 11, whatever you do when you get there to beat this son of a bitch. But if you have nothing but the Heart of Ira on after he talks to you and you're invisible, he will not attack you. He will die from that shit. You probably have to chug a potion second time, maybe even a third. That's why I say take 3 or 4. And then he dies. You get a crap ton of XP, go from like 11 to 15 overnight. And he has all that kick-ass gear that I was telling you about. So again, loot the place and then use your last teleport. Scum save it, of course, but use your last teleport to teleport out. Why do I say scum save it again? Because sometimes your teleport doesn't work right. So if you teleport and you're still stuck in the wall and you didn't get out of the barrier, well then you just have to repeat the fight. That sucks. So always, always, always save. But again, that's an easy way for you to get some cheap-ass levels early. And then, like I said, that can be done probably around chapter 3. So you're going to be getting to 20 well before pit tax, in my opinion. So character level's not an issue. It's mostly gear and spell picks that's the issue at that point. Your sneak attack's going to be really, really nice. Again, with that Sense Vital stacking on top of it, it's going to be super nice. Remember, never change into another form. As a Sword Saint, you lose all your buffs. Beast Shape, Elemental Body, all that's applicable. That straight up sucks. Same with Dragonkind, I believe. So that straight up is a boner move. Don't use that shit. You're going to scribe everything, but by and large, just know it's not going to be your thing. Other than that, a couple quick honorable mentions of Sirocco and Acid Fog cannot, repeat, not get sneak attack damage. I assume it's because they're placeables. Remember, they have an AoE effect every round, so it's not like a fireball spell that zips out or chain lightning that zips out and hits somebody. So they do not get sneak attack damage, and I have tested it with Prescient attack, with impromptu sneak attack, with being invisible, all three, none of the above, and I never, ever, ever got sneak attack damage with either of these. Just so we're clear on that, okay? So if you're thinking, oh, I'll just get Acid Fog, it's a cheap enough spell, and I love it doing acid damage, why not do, 10d4 of acid damage right off the bat to everyone in the room? Yay! No, it doesn't work. That's a bummer. So just know that. And yeah, that's basically it, bro. Let's actually just take you inside just to show you a couple quick things. I want to show you the fight because, like I said, these guys are particularly tough. And if you thought that the wizard build that I gave you the other day was a little squishy, it definitely is. You have to really, really manage your buffs a lot better than what I was doing when I showed you the other video. But I was just getting you to the point where you could see that he's more than capable, or she was more than capable of doing their job. This one, on the other hand, will feel like a goddamn tank pretty much from the start to finish. I just want to make sure that I've got my gear in order. Looks like we're good to go. Notice, of course, we have spell-like abilities and stuff. I usually put stuff down here. Notice I always shut off, you'll have this as a Sword Saint. Notice you have Perfect Strike and Perfect Critical. Perfect Critical is okay. I always shut it off, but it's okay. Perfect Strike is crap. It's the one that, oh, you can, instead of rolling the die for how much damage you do on a hit, it'll just do full damage. So instead of doing on a dagger a 1d4, so a chance of 1, 2, 3, or 4, it'll always do 4 at the cost of all these points. Screw you, man. I want those points. There's a whole point of having those points. And I need to refresh something here real quick, because we just buffed up with all that kick-ass gear. I need to go rest. Okay, now you see that's the number you could expect with the best gear on. A solid 14 uses of that a day, that, or even, actually missing one. I have the Arcane Strike. Let's do it like that. I want to show you this trick. Okay, so remember, this is impromptu sneak attack. It behaves just like Prescient attack. It makes them flat-footed. This is a toggle. This is a clickable. When you click this, you have 6 seconds to use it. Shut that right off too. Okay, so that's going to be a thing. Now notice, I should take that Eye of Abaddon, the Oculus of Abaddon off, because you're probably not going to have that anytime soon, and you may not even go for that thing. But remember, you have the kick-ass belt on, the Greater Belt of Perfection, perfect components. So we wanted shield spell, reduce person, blur. Those are 3 staples from me. Of course, wings as well too, whatever kind you want. Let's go gold this time, just because we want to be different. Yay! So now, how long do those buffs last you? 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40. Why 40, not 19? Remember, you're level 19 caster level. One reason it's 20 is because you have this rod. Remember, all your spells are 1 caster level higher. All of them, including the buffs. So that's solid. Then we had that belt of Greater Belt of Perfect Components. That's a extend / empower to any spell you cast. Watch this. Here's your... Oh, did I not slot mirror image? Of course I didn't. I was going to say, if you slot mirror image, there's a die roll. Because of that, it can be not only extended for the duration, but it can also be empowered, which means you're guaranteed damn near to get that 8 maximum images around you. So there's 9 of you. You and 8 others, right? That's the perfect roll. So empowered version almost always guarantees that you're going to get an 8. But whatever. Yeah, you can trust me on that. I'm going to do Heroism, of course, 2. Again, that one's 10 minutes per caster level. Look at with that extended, you got a freaking huge ass buff on you for a long, long time. And again, that's a buff to your swing for all your weapons, So that +2 morale basically is neutering the -2 penalty for 2-weapon fighting, in my opinion. That's how I look at that, and that's awesome. Then you have a bonus to your saves. Yeah, morale, bonus +2, +2, +2. That's not bad. And your fortitude's still a little lackluster. A lot of that's because your cons kind of suck. But your will is like the second best category. Reflexes, on the other hand, are freaking stellar, and that's nice. And again, I can cast also. I can't cast Greater in Viz and have it be extended that way. That's why you need the Oculus of Abaddon for that, because all your spells become extended at that point. But I can extend haste. That's awesome. Extra attack around unless you have that speed weapon already on. Remember, we do have a speed weapon. I'm going to actually use this one so you can see the sovereign hit and the buffs that's going to come from it. True Seeing, nice buff for you to make sure that you can see your targets. Again, that's extremely useful. This is the transformation, and again, remember, that's the one that when you're done casting spells, you've buffed up and you just want to fight something. Cast transformation on yourself. It'll be a +4 to strength, dex, and con, unless you have gear, which of course you do, that is at least 4 or higher. So chances are it'll give you nothing. But it will give you a bonus to your fortitude. It will give you a bonus to your armor because it gives you a natural armor bonus, not natural armor enhancement. Not like the boots. So it stacks with it, which is beautiful. So that's a +4, I want to say, that you'll add to here and here. Not your touch attack, but still solid upgrade. And it gives you a BAB, like I said, equal to your character level, which means for you 20 instead of the 11. So all these numbers go up by 9. You'll get an extra attack around with this kick-ass weapon. This is still going to be 5, but instead of it being 5 at a 28, as you see total, add 9 more to that. So that'd be a 37 for your first swing. That's amazing with your first 3 swings because of the improved or the greater speed effect. But the point is still the same. Tons and tons of hits, lots of sneak attack damage, and this will be less sneak attack than this one as far as the damage. It's going to be the D4 die versus the D8, so you will see that as well. Power attack is always on. Never take that off, and never forget to have a strength belt or some kind of buff to your strength on your character. Quick save in case we want to come back and test 1 or 2 more things. But let's go in here and mess these instances up. Now, start of the fight. You see flat-footed, right? That's the little exclamation part is. We're catching them by surprise. So if I charge over there with my mace, because that's the only weapon I'll swing with in this one combat round, I have a chance of hitting them. Well, what if I miss? Well, I don't want to miss. So do you want to do Prussian attack? Maybe you want to turn your impromptu sneak attack on so you can guarantee it. Those are kind of wasteful. Why? Well, maybe not this one, but this one's definitely wasteful. You only have 4 uses a day. So use the Arcane Accuracy. That'll buff based on your intelligence of your character, again, which is at a +10 to your swing. It's only going to get 1 swing, but so what? See how it used your swift action? You still have the ability to charge. Yeah, solid hit. Let's take a quick gander at that, though. 31, and 10 of it came from that, so it would have been a 21. 21 and 10, you would have had a 31. You would have barely have hit them without that buff, just barely. And you rolled a 10, which is middle line roll on a 1 to 20 sided die. So again, these are tough dudes. That's what I'm saying. Having that buff is extremely valuable for you. Now, wait, there's more. Now, of course, we hit him. Notice because we hit him with a weapon with power attack on, it doesn't matter what kind of weapon it is, just that we had a weapon in our hand and we hit him with it and did damage, we intimidated him. See the intimidation check? This is his DC that you have to pass. So if you see success or succeeded, that means he's been effectively scared from you. Now, that doesn't mean he's not immune to it. Looks like he isn't immune. He looks like he's shaken a little bit. And as such, now every attack should be flat-footed. It's just going to be easier for you to hit him, which means you don't have to now reuse these things to rebuff up, because now he has no armor, no dodge, no reflex bonuses. So it's going to be even easier to smack this bastard in the face from this point forward. And you should get sneak attack damage each time. Now, notice that your modifier is 36. Part of that is because your intelligence is +10. Remember, we specifically buffed your persuasion with the bruising intellect. Bruising intellect goes off of intelligence now, not charisma. Otherwise, it would be 7 points lower. That would be bad. Well, not bad. It just wouldn't be as good. But that's my point. Now remember, we hit him once. What did we hit him with? That's right, that one weapon that every time you hit a new opponent in combat, it's a +1 to your swing. +1 to your armor class, +1 to your saves, and it stacks. Now, I can hit him again and again and again. I'm not going to get that bonus again. But if I switch targets, I can. So do a 5-foot stutter step, punch this bastard in the face. There we go. As long as we get one in. Beautiful. Now let's look at that last swing that hit. Okay? Not the damage, the chance to hit. See where it says Sovereign +1/+1? That's because I hit 2 different opponents in this combat, in this battle. Every time you hit a new opponent, you'll get another stacking +1, but it has to be with the mace. Not just the side that's in your offhand. It has to be the mace that connects. Sadly, it's a strength-based swing. Your strength kind of sucks. But if you buff yourself up for that first swing or two, like I said, it makes it easier to hit them. And then from there, it just snowballs. It's +1, then it's +2, then it's +3, then it's +4, +5, 20 views in the ring. I can get a +20 on this character for your armor class, your saves, and your swing. Stuff is just going to melt at your feet. And again, with you setting up sneak attack like we've been doing, you see we're getting sneak attack damage. Notice this one here is with the dagger, or the sai. That's the D8 die. 11 D8 plus 11. The 3 extra die comes from that trait. Otherwise, you'd be at 8 D8 plus 8. And again, if you don't feel like that trait's fair, I'm fine with not picking it. Pick something else. But it's still fun. I just thought you'd like that. And remember, I have yet to cast Sense Vitals on your character. That would add another 5 more die to this. So that would be a 16 D8 plus 16 damage for every attack you have if they all sneak attack. That's 8 attacks right now, could be 9. Just saying, I think you'll have fun with this build, bro. That's why I said, give me a minute to think about what I want to say for this next build. This is why I think you'd rather play this one. Now, again, if you want to be the caster, the full caster, go with a previous build I just showed you. This is one as a subcaster, by far, clear and obvious. But this one's more tanky. And to show you the tank, let's watch them swing at me. Again, +2 bonus, ignore that. So take the 66 down to 64. That would be what you'd expect for a typical combat. Now, yes, it's not a touch attack armor, but your touch attack is still pretty goddamn good. You have a base 10, size bonus, 5 from insights, now up to 16, ring bonus, so now up to 17, dexterity bonus, add 14 more to that, so what is that, 17, 14, 31, deflection robes on, so we're at 36, I think I'm doing my math right, not arm, not the shield, not the natural, but the 12 more from dodge, so we're up to 48 or so, which is solid armor class, I'd say, for a touch attack. And every time I hit someone with that goddamn Sovereign Mace, it goes up more, as you can see, because that bonus is universal. It's let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, see there, other sovereign. It's universal. It's on all 3 categories. So again, the more you smack them with that, now again, that's the end of the game. It's not the point. That's when you really want this. So that's a solid upgrade. And again, if that's not your thing or you don't have that, switch over to this guy. +3 dodge. So yeah, I'm not getting a +1/+1 multiple times every combat, but I start with an innate +3. Boom. And another bonus here, remember when you're buffing your weapon? 2 ways for you to buff your weapon as a magus. You have greater magic weapon as a spell. And then you have your ability to innately buff the weapon because you're a magus, which is this little guy here, right? So you can only get a +3 on it as a magus because you did not, whoops, wrong one. You did not advance beyond +3. This is +3 right here. So again, the best you could add is 3 temporary bonus to your weapon swing. But you already have a +1 dagger, and the best you could have had was a +5 total. So you're only at a +4. Ooh, it's not that big of a deal. But I do appreciate that. And if that's not your cup of tea, like I said, you have the spell right here. Greater magic weapon. And with that rod in your hand, the flaming rod of awesomeness, whatever, you get a +1 to your caster level. So instead of being limited to the +4, you actually do cap out on this and get all the way up to the +5. Now your dagger cannot be above +5, but you can do that for multiple hours. So I could have that scrappy ass dagger in my hands. This one right here, this +1 dagger, which you can get in chapter 2, by the way, easy peasy, and I highly recommend you do so. You get this thing, get that spell, buff up for like 5, 10, 12 hours in a day, where it's going to be eventually up to the solid +1 here, and then you'll see a +4 temporary enhancement. Because again, maximum is +5. And that'll last you for hours. So you're swinging with a +5 now weapon early on. Just saying. This is freaking cool. So the offhand, or the main hand weapon is the one that gets buffed. Remember that. So you don't honestly want, unless you really have a reason to, the best weapon in the main hand. This one there's a reason to. Remember, transformation. 3 attacks could go to 4 attacks. I'd rather hit them 4 times in a row with something that I know is giving me a buff, or that can confuse them, or that can do shocking damage, or that can, you know, weaken them from this, or there's other weapons out there that, like, some will blind, some will stun. And on that last point, the last thing I do want to show you, come on. Last thing I do want to show you is a spell that I think on the list. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, I did. Poop. Alright, well, hold on.
Let's shred them.
I'll just do a quick rest to give me the spell. There's a spell that you can get at level 1. Sorcerer, or Magus, sorry. It is called Color Spray. It is a garbage spell later on, because you see it's got HD limits to it. But notice the limit on this last one, it's not a cap. What does that mean? It doesn't stop, doesn't become useless after a certain level, like Sleep Spell. It can only affect 2d4 of hit dice of monsters. So once they have like 8 hit dice, or more than 8 hit dice, you're not sleeping anybody with that spell. This one has 5 or more HD, which means if they have an HD of 5 or an HD of 5 million, you could still stun them for 1 round. Now, why is that useful? A, it's AoE. B, you're running solo, so you don't have to worry about hitting friendlies. So that's nice. If you can get this to land, remember it's a will save, not a fortitude or reflex. So if you're up in front and thick of things, chances are it's either reflex dodging ninjas or fortitude fighting son of a bitches. So this is not their best saving throw, is my point. If you can get this shit to land, you've stunned them for 1 round. Well, that's not true, Brother Mutant, because you told me I have a cool-ass belt that gives me anything level 1, 2, or 3 is extended. That's right, class. You stunned him for 2 rounds. What does that mean? If they're stunned, they're flat-footed, bro. This is another beautiful way for you early on to set up sneak attack. Just saying. And again, not the only spell that you have that does something like this. This is the one that does the stun, but you can also blind them with glitter dust. And if they're blind, guess what? They're flat-footed. They can't see you. It's the same as greater invis being on your character. Awesome, awesome combos. And I'm just saying, look for that shit. Look for weapons that blind targets, that stun targets, that make them flat-footed, which I don't think is a category. But again, all those things set them up for being flat-footed. Now, there's some that are kind of garbage, just to warn you in advance. There's some, I'm going to say, like there's a hammer, like a light hammer or some shit. I may have picked it even. Let me just do a quick once-over. Nope, doesn't look like I did, which is smart of me, because it is a piece of piss. But you can get it like, I want to say it's like silverfish or whatever the hell it's called. Oh no, is that it right there? No, speedlight hammer. Okay. Anyway, when you check the hammers, or you check the weapon, and it says, will blind them on a critical hit, or has a chance of blinding them on a critical hit. Okay, does it tell you what the DC check is? If it does, good, because then at least you know what to expect. It's usually a fortitude save, and then there's a number, right? Well, if the number's 13, that's terrible. The only chance that that's actually going to blind somebody, even on a critical hit, is 1% of the time, and that's when they crit fail, right? So really, that's a garbage pickup, and it's expensive, so don't bother. But if it has like a crit, or like on any hit, there's a saving throw check. Say it's a DC of 17. Well, A, you don't have to rely on it critting. B, eventually they're going to fail it. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a nat 1 that fails it, or, you know, maybe you get lucky and it's like a 2 or a 3 and they'll still fail it. The point is still the same. That's not bad. Okay, so I'll look for those types of weapons. And again, ones that blind, ones that stun are money. There's a lot in the, well, not a lot, there's several in the game. I'm not going to list them all for you. You'll have more fun finding them yourself. But the point is still the same. It's a decent choice. Last point to make before we're done here, another weapon combo that I like to have, like this. The one that has the Brilliant Energy buff. Now, yes, it might be late game that you get one of these weapons. There's a Brilliant Energy Keen Dagger +2 also in the game. As soon as you find a Brilliant Energy weapon, if you can equip it, in my opinion, you should have it in one of your 4 slots, like this, with a Sai. Why? Because A, the Sai gives you your sword stuff, of course, so always a Sai. But then the other one is a touch attack. So if you need to hit somebody, remember, all you have to do is hit them with power attack on. You don't have to do a lot of damage. You just did damage. And now you intimidate them. And now they're flat-footed, which means every attack with the Sai now becomes touch attack. And that's the thing you're trying to set up. So again, one that already is touch attack gives you the other one now as a touch attack is the goal. So it's just sneak attack, sneak attack, sneak attack, sneak attack, and just flat-footed, just crushing their asses. It's just amazing what you can do with something like a brilliant energy weapon in one of your hands. Sadly, as the Magus that you are, you do not have enough points to get you to +4, which is when you can pick Ghost Touch Weapon / Brilliant Energy Weapon, and that literally is a bummer, because I would have totally suggested that you grab that shit, but you don't have enough points to get that, so it's just not worth it, which is a drag. But with that, I know this video's gone on long enough, buddy, but my name is Brother Immune. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me if you like this video compared to the other one as far as builds are concerned. And remember, we got one more coming for you. It'll probably be a rogue, a generic rogue Eldritch Archer build with Arcane Trickster to level 10, just so you can see what you can do at range with armor on. But I'll see you soon. Bye now.